You've been told to be open, to share your truth, to speak from the heart, to be transparent because honesty builds connection. But that's a carefully constructed lie. A lie crafted by those who stand to gain from your openness. A lie whispered by manipulators who smile kindly as they mentally file away your words like weapons. A lie sold by a world that celebrates the illusion of authenticity. Right up until you reveal too much and are punished for it, Machiavelli knew better. He understood what most people refuse to admit. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. He didn't teach connection, he taught control. And if you want to survive not as a casualty, but as a calculated strategist, you must follow his darkest rules, starting with this. Never reveal these 7 things to anyone. Number 1, never reveal your true intentions. I've heard people say, just be honest about what you want. But here's what Machiavelli would say instead. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. Why? Because the moment others understand your destination, they begin shaping the battlefield. They plant obstacles. They analyze your ambition and measure how to exploit it. They wonder, are you a threat? They prepare for war before you've even drawn a map. Fear begins to fester. Alliances are formed. Whispers spread. Sabotage is set in motion, and it all happens before you even make your first move. Your ambition becomes their target, and your transparency becomes their nourishment. So what do? You conceal it. You let them assume. You let them underestimate. You let them believe you're harmless, all while silently building the empire they never saw coming. You don't say, I want the promotion. You say, I'm just here to grow. You don't declare, I'm done with this. You say, let's see how it goes. You don't announce your moves. You let peace lull them into complacency until it's far too late to respond. Because when your goals are hidden, your enemies are blind. And when they're blind, they can't aim. Number 2, never reveal your emotional weakness. They tell you to be real, to be vulnerable. But what they often mean is, show me where to stab. Every time you admit what hurts, what keeps you up at night, what makes you feel small or lost. They don't hear truth, they hear opportunity. They don't see courage, they see cracks. Cracks, to the opportunist, are entry points. People don't forget your emotional wounds. They collect them like an assassin gathering vials of poison. Quietly, carefully, patiently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They'll smile when you open up. They'll nod with empathy. But when the bond breaks, it's those very confessions that become their sharpest weapons. They won't target your strengths. They'll twist your admissions. Machiavelli wasn't heartless. He was precise. He understood that while performing vulnerability can be a tool, true vulnerability must be protected like treasure. You need to cry, do it behind closed doors. You need to break, do it in silence. You need to scream, swallow it, because every tear you show is leverage surrendered. And every emotional truth you reveal is a blade placed in someone else's hand. Control your expression. Even if you can't control your feelings, you must master how they appear to the outside world. That isn't deception, it's defense. Because in a world where information is currency, showing emotion is like handing over your armor before battle. Number 3, never reveal your real alliances. You may believe loyalty should be worn like a badge, that declaring who you trust makes you stronger. The people feel safer when you take a side. But in a world ruled by power and perception, loyalty becomes a liability and visibility. That's suicide. Machiavelli once said, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver." Think about that. Those who know your allies know where your defenses lie. They know which strings to pull, which relationships to fracture, which people to pressure, corrupt, or threaten. They won't come for you directly, not at first. They'll come for your circle. Slowly, surgically, they'll use your connections to map your behavior, to monitor your moves, to choke your influence, and infect your inner circle with doubt. This is how empires crumble, not through armies at the gate, but through exposed alliances that rot from within. So protect your true loyalty. Keep it out of sight. Keep it sacred. In public, be an enigma. Be warm to your rivals. Be distant with your friends. Be neutral with all. Let them wonder whose voice guides you. Let them guess who truly has your trust. Let them chase rumors down empty corridors while you move in silence. Because in warfare, personal or professional, the most devastating weapon is not brute force, it's uncertainty. And there is no greater uncertainty than the person who smiles at everyone and reveals nothing. Number 4, never reveal what truly motivates you. They'll ask you so innocently what drives you. What gets you out of bed? They'll say they want to understand you. But what they're really searching for is the switch that controls you. And when you give them an honest answer, you hand over the controls. You say, I want to prove myself. They hear, you crave validation, can punish you with silence. You say, I just want to feel loved. They hear, you're emotionally starving. I can manipulate you with absence. You say, I want to make my family proud. They hear, you're vulnerable to guilt, can bend you with shame. You thought you were opening up. You thought it was connection. But in the game of power, motivation isn't intimacy, leverage. And once they know what moves you, they'll make sure you only move when they say so. Machiavelli didn't revere noble intentions. He respected outcomes. The ends justify the means. Because in the hands of manipulators, your why will be twisted to sabotage your how. They'll flatter your ego to stall your execution. They'll offer you applause to derail your legacy. They'll throw you praise. Not as a reward, but as a leash. So what's the strategy? Give them decoys, surface-level motives. I'm just exploring. I'm figuring it out. Just curious. Make your mission sound vague, unthreatening, even boring. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, you're building something so precise, so powerful. And by the time they realize your true intent, it's far too late to interfere. Your real motivation? Let them discover it not from your lips, but from your results. Number 5, never reveal what or who you despise. In a perfect world, expressing what offends you might seem honest, even noble. But in the real world, especially one governed by power plays and silent wars, disgusts you would make. People respect your values. But this isn't a perfect world. This is not a world where moral clarity is honored, where vulnerability is met with understanding. No, this is a world filled with sharp-eyed opportunists, trained to sniff out your weaknesses like blood in the water. A world where your triggers become tools in the hands of those who seek to control you. You say, I hate when people ghost me. Now, someone will ghost you not because they're careless, but because they know it will torment you. You say, I can't stand being ignored. That silence you now hear? It's deliberate, a form of psychological warfare. You say, I hate being lied to. And suddenly, you're surrounded by people who lie so skillfully, they leave no evidence behind, only doubt and self-blame. Why does this happen? Because the more you openly hate something, the more control it holds over you, and the more control others can gain over you through it, Machiavelli warned. A prince should learn to act as both beast and man, which means in practice you must present a civil face to the world while keeping your emotional armor impenetrable. Be composed on the outside, but unshakable within. You don't flinch when provoked. You don't wince when insulted. You don't react when pushed. Why? Because the moment someone discovers what disgusts you, they will begin testing you not with fire, but with subtle pressure. Gently, gradually, they'll push those buttons to see where the cracks form. They won't provoke you outright. They'll chip away at your psyche like a sculptor, slowly uncovering whether your hatred is just emotion or a lever that can move you. So what must you do? You train yourself for emotional neutrality, not to become passive, but to become unreadable. Strategic, unpredictable. You give nothing away. Don't show them what makes you twitch. Don't reveal what makes your blood boil. Don't let them know which names cause your hands to shake or your voice to rise. Act like you've got no skin, like nothing gets under it, because once they know who you hate, they can redirect your mission. They can bait you into chasing justice instead of power. And once you're chasing revenge, you've already left. The throne behind number 6. Never reveal what you're willing to sacrifice. There's a popular belief that clear boundaries earn respect. Say what you won't tolerate, and people will back off. But in the world of power, that belief is dangerously naive. Because the clearer your boundaries, the easier they are to target. You say, "I'd never leave this job." Now, they know you're trapped, so they give you less, expect more, and smile while doing it. Say, "I could never hurt them no matter what." Now, they'll betray you emotionally, not overtly, but in just enough doses to keep you clinging. You say, "This relationship means everything to me." Now they'll show up half-hearted, half-committed, knowing you'll still stay. You've handed them the script. You've made yourself predictable. You've declared without meaning to, "I am not a threat." But Machiavelli taught rulers something different. It's always appear replaceable, but never be replaceable. Always let others believe they can be left behind even when they can't. Why? Because the moment they think you won't walk away, they'll walk all over you. So what do you say instead? Don't say, "I'll never leave." Say, "I like it here for now." Don't say, "I'll do anything for this." Say, "I'll give what makes sense when it makes sense." Not cold, that's calculated. Because in every negotiation, every power play, what you're willing to sacrifice is your final weapon. And once people know where that line is, they won't attack it directly. They'll erode everything around it until eventually you give it up yourself. In this world, clarity isn't always strength. Sometimes clarity is a trap. People say, "Just be honest. Say exactly what you want. Speak your truth." But Machiavelli would say, "He who is the cause of another's greatness is himself undone." What does this mean? It's translation. When you hand someone the full blueprint of your mind, your values, your fears, your dreams, your insecurities, you give them the tools to dismantle it, bit by bit, thought by thought. Number 7, never reveal what you truly think of yourself. This, among all revelations, is the most dangerous. It's not what you say about others that will undo you, it's what you say about yourself. Because when people know how you internally measure your own worth, they gain the power to distort your entire reality. Say you doubt yourself just once and they will feed that doubt until it grows roots. Say you don't feel attractive, capable, worthy, and they will echo it back to you not with insults, but with subtle stabs, quiet exclusion, backhanded compliments, jokes that sting but hide behind laughter. Slowly, gently, they'll reinforce your worst thoughts. Not through confrontation, but through agreement. And if you make the opposite mistake, if you say you believe in yourself too loudly, they won't admire it. They'll target it. Tell them you're meant for more, and you become a threat.
Yes.
Speak your vision aloud, and you invite their silent sabotage. Most people don't want to witness someone rising unless they can predict and limit how far you'll go. They want to hear your flaws, not your fire. They crave cracks in your confidence so they can feel safe standing beside you. Machiavelli warned us long ago, men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. Your greatest deception? Letting people believe they've figured you out, that they know what drives you, what scares you, what you are becoming. So what's the move? Let them wonder. Be digestible. Play the part they can handle. Modest, harmless, curious. Let them label you before they even look deeper, because comfort makes people careless. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate while they're asleep in your illusion, your wide-awake building in silence. You want to become unstoppable? Then let them assume you're stuck. Let them think you're done growing. Let them believe they've read the last chapter while you quietly write the sequel they'll never see coming. Now you know what not to reveal. But Machiavelli's genius didn't stop at concealment. It evolved into something even more potent. The weaponization of silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is tension. It's the unspoken pressure that makes people shift in their seats, replay conversations, second-guess themselves. Silence invites projection. It triggers insecurity. It forces people to fill the void with their own assumptions, and in doing so, they expose themselves. When you say little, others speak too much. They reveal things they never meant to. They assign meaning to your stillness. They start imagining that you know more than you do, that you're holding cards they can't see. And this is where real power begins. The one who speaks the least shapes the emotional climate of the room. In a world addicted to oversharing, to explaining, to being understood, your silence becomes a mirror. It reflects back their own fears, desires, and stories. They fill in your blanks with their truths. People today overcorrect, they explain themselves into weakness. They post, vent, confess, beg to be understood. But you are Machiavellian now. You've deleted the need for validation. You've rejected the urge to clarify, because you understand the truth once they know how. You work, they'll start working you. Silence is control. Restraint is dominance. Mystery is protection. They can't read you, they can't predict you. If they can't predict you, they can't control you. If they can't control you, you remain dangerous. When someone becomes fully known, they become chartable like a map. Easy to read, easy to corner, easy to play against. But the one who shows nothing, no clear intentions, no obvious loyalties, no emotional leaks, he becomes untouchable. He becomes legend even before he becomes powerful. You don't need to be rich yet. You don't need to be in charge. You don't need to be the sharpest or loudest in the room. But you must be unreadable, because unreadable people are unshakable. Their silence breeds caution. Their presence commands tension. You see them walk into a room and people adjust their posture. They pause before they speak. They scan their own words for mistakes. Not because they were warned, not because they were threatened, but because they are unsure, uncertain. You revealed nothing in that, paradoxically, reveals everything about your power. This is what Machiavelli meant. When he spoke of the appearance of virtue without the obligation to practice it, it's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being strategic with what you show and what you withhold. Because in a world constantly scanning for weakness, why would you offer yours up on a silver platter, now that you know? What never to reveal your pain, your loyalties. Your true motivations, the question becomes, how do you operate in the open world? How do you move among people, play their games, sit in their rooms, and still never let them touch your center? Here's the truth. Machiavelli didn't preach isolation. He preached infiltration. He didn't say hide from the world. He said move silently within it. Come the shadow that passes through the walls, the whisper in the room no one can trace. To win, you must master the system from within. So you play the role. You wear the face. You nod when they speak. You laugh when expected. You agree, but only on the surface. They ask, what do you think of him? You answer, interesting. Haven't seen the full picture yet. They press, what's your next move? Respond, still exploring the best options. Try to dig deeper. What do you really want? You smile. Peace, mostly. Feed them fog. Feed them mist. Give them answers that look like truth but hold no weight. Because once your intentions become transparent, your influence begins to decay. But when you're unpredictable by design, you become harder to plot, harder to stop. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it smiles, sometimes it corrects quietly without a single raised voice. Let others rage. Let others expose themselves in fits of public retaliation. Let others wear their hearts and egos on their sleeves. But you correct in silence. If someone disrespects you, you don't flinch. You don't explain, you don't defend, you don't chase. You reposition, you reduce access, you shift the terrain, slow down communication. You reroute influence, quietly, precisely, deliberately. That is the Machiavellian correction, not destruction by explosion, but erosion by subtle withdrawal. No fireworks, no warning, no headline. But when they look around, the warmth is gone. The support is gone. The air changes. They feel the chill. They feel the consequence. They feel the weight of a power they can't define but cannot deny. And that is when they finally understand. True power doesn't announce itself. It is simply felt. Battle. But Machiavelli knew every visible battle costs something. Costs reputation, energy, time. Every time you step into a public conflict, you're spending valuable resources. You're showing your cards, giving away your emotional currency. So, how do you win without bleeding? How do you gain ground without ever sounding the war drums? You outlast. You outthink. You plant seeds of doubt in the minds of your enemies without ever laying a hand on them. No shouting, no sparring, no grand gestures. Just subtle movements, silent recalculations. Imagine someone challenges your integrity. They spread whispers, start rumors, aim to tarnish your image. What do? You don't react? Don't. Scramble to defend yourself. You don't even confront them. You simply retreat into your own quiet strength. Tighten your circle. You share less, you build more. You let the chaos swirl around you, untouched. And then, one ordinary day they wake up and find that the position they once assumed was theirs has been taken. And it's you sitting in that seat. Not because you fought harder, but because you fought smarter. Because you used silence as your sword. And silence cuts deeper than noise. Remember this. The person who must destroy others to rise is always weak. The person who rises in silence becomes a legend because no one sees it coming. And what people don't anticipate, they cannot prevent. People expose themselves when they talk too much. Their need to be heard becomes a window into their fears, their motives, their flaws. But your words, they serve a different purpose. Every sentence you speak must do one of two things: create an illusion or conceal an intention. Every word must be chosen like a move on a chessboard. No wasted motion, no accidental signals. Someone asks, "Are you trying to lead this?" You smile, "I just want to contribute where I can." Another says, "You've changed lately." You nod, just focusing inward these days. These aren't lies, they're decoys. The more energy they spend decoding your language, the less attention they place on your silent actions. You're not invisible. You're not absent. You're a mirror, and mirrors reflect only what others bring to them. When people can't read you, they see themselves instead. That's why they start to fear you. That's also why they begin to respect you, because you become unreadable, and that makes you dangerous to underestimate. So now that you've erased what weakens you, your over-explanations, your confessions, your predictable reactions, what do you replace them with? Nothing. Not more information. Not a polished narrative. Not a better version of your story. You replace it with emptiness. Why? Because emptiness makes people uncomfortable. It makes them guess. It makes them project. And they always fill the silence with their own fears, their own hopes, their own assumptions. They imagine you as a threat or as a genius, as a rival or as a mystery. The one who says nothing after betrayal. Terrifying because no one knows what they'll do next. One who keeps their ambition quiet. Unstoppable because they might be 10 moves ahead and no one realizes it. The one who doesn't react in chaos. Feared because they clearly answer to nothing and no one. This is what Machiavelli mastered. Men judge more by what they see than by what is real. Everyone watches who you appear to be, but very few will ever understand who you truly are. He knew perception is power, and perception isn't built by what you show. It's built by what you withhold. That's what separates rulers from followers. Not charm, not brutal honesty, not even likability, but discipline, the ruthless discipline, to remain unreadable in a world that demands transparency. Because when people leave your life, you don't owe them closure. Betray you, you don't owe them explanation. When someone crosses the line, disrespects your trust, or violates your inner peace, you owe them nothing. Not a word, not a reason, not even a reaction. You don't need to offer explanations to those who have proven they cannot honor your presence. When people doubt your worth or your intentions, you don't need to prove anything. Let your silence be the punishment they never expected. Let your absence become the loudest message they'll ever hear. Let your elevation, the better version of you, be their unspoken obituary. Because here's the truth. People who breach your boundaries aren't students. Needing a lesson, they are strangers now, and strangers don't deserve access. Access is earned, not given back out of guilt or habit. This is exactly what Machiavelli would have wanted you to understand at your core. Never let someone dissect your soul once they've shown they can't be trusted with the fragile depth of it. Once they've fumbled the responsibility of your openness, they lose the right to ask for understanding. Now you walk differently. Your energy is sharper, your presence more calculated. You no longer speak merely to be heard, you speak with purpose. Each word is a tool, not a leak. You no longer reveal what you feel simply because you're feeling it. You reveal what serves the mission, what moves things forward, what holds power. You don't justify your absence anymore. Your absence is the justification. It's the consequence. It's the message carved into the silence. They might never say it out loud, but they'll feel it tightening in their chest. The change, the silence. I don't know what they're thinking, they'll say, but I know not to play with them. That is the price your silence commands. That is what secrecy earns you. Not invisibility, but influence. Not noise, but presence. When you withhold your truth from a world obsessed with exposure, you create an atmosphere charged with curiosity and caution. A psychological climate of both fear and fascination. You're no longer just a name to toss around. You're a presence, to be anticipated, adjusted to, respected. And no, you don't need to be manipulative. You don't need to be icy or controlling. All you need to manage is the access point, what people know, what they see, what they believe they're entitled to. Because when you start closing the gates, when you become selective with your light, you reclaim the throne within your own castle. And make no mistake, that is power. Machiavelli's darkest lesson was never about cruelty. It was always about containment. True strength lies not in dominating others, but in mastering yourself. He who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city. And now, you have done exactly that. You've silenced the urge to over-explain, to overshare, to bleed. Emotionally, every time someone pokes at your heart, you've let go of the version of yourself that thought being understood was the goal. Now, they'll never know. Because now, you don't reveal, you observe, you calculate, you move. And by the time they begin to realize what you really are, will already be far too late to stop you. Because the loud ones are seen, the reckless ones are feared. But you are the one they never saw coming.